Hip hip. Hooray! It's my birthday. I should probably play some music, huh? Don't want just chatting. That would be horrifying. I don't know any real... Do I just play Lo-Fi Hololive again? My go-to... My... Old Faithful? What was it? Hololive Lo-Fi.
Those be
Oh my god. What the... Oh, the video I was watching started playing. It was a video about magic cycles. Alright. Is there one that I haven't played? No. No, I've played all of the official... Where's this one? Okay. Oh my goodness. I have the volume on pretty loud. That's good. I'm very grateful to them for just putting those out there and having them be good old ambient music. Anyways, yippee, I'm old now. Actually, one of the other things that I was wondering is, I don't know, I doubt I can, here, we're gonna do some live, model manipulation. Because you can change the colors of bits of your model. Customize. Yeah, okay. So I can modify art mesh here. Let's get that. I don't know what... Alright. No? Oh, wait. Nothing's changing. Cancel. Alright. Okay. Got it. Art Mesh 131. I don't know what you are. That's probably something on the back of my head. Alright, but Art Mesh 17. That's what I'm looking for. Let's turn you gray. Can I? Can I lighten the color? Oh, I can turn it transparent. No. How do I grayify? Oh, can I, like, desaturate it? Hold on a second. There's two different types of colors. No, never mind. Let's try this again. Alright. Set it to black. Press OK. The screen. Here we go. Okay, but how do I make it so that it's not just flat gray? Alright. Let's try this again. The multiply. What if we just leave it at nothing? No. I don't think that'll work. It needs to be a pretty light gray so that it's visible as well. That's pretty close. It doesn't have any of the texture still, though. Alright. That's just one big one. And also do that one. It's just one stripe of hair. Yes. You're isolated. So that one. Paste last one. Let's make it a bit lighter. I don't know about that. See, I wish I could get it on the multiply layer. But all I can do is make it darker. I feel like you can't really multiply it into a lighter shade most of the time. Hue, saturation, value. Yeah. I don't even know if it's possible to multiply layer into a lighter shade. I feel like it's not, as far as I can tell. Oh well, just screen it gray. Should I hue myself to the dark blue as well? I don't know that it changes that much. Oh, there is actually texture to it. Okay. Well, that's fine then. Gray hair. That's phase 1 of my fun little stream, I guess. Here, actually, you know what? Let's get more. Let's get grayer. I also have... Just a second. Takes a while to load in. Let's get some of these side ponytail bits. Try this one. No, not my ear. There we go. Art Mesh 28. Gray. Perfect. I am becoming true to myself. I don't have any gray hair, actually. I'm exaggerating, because exaggerating is the essence of comedy. Alright. So I only have a handful of things that I felt like doing today. One of the other ones was figuring out alerts. But thinking about it, you know, actively now, I should probably do that off stream. Because there's so many things to learn. I don't know how to, like, get YouTube commands or, like, do cooldowns or stuff like that. So, I think I will hold off on that. And then I should make, like, a command list. Leave that in my... Was it the description? I don't remember what it's called. YouTube description. Yeah, that's what they are. Oh, right. I finally fixed this. Oh, no. It's not fixed anymore. You know what? I think... Oh, I'm gonna have to disappear for a second. Yeah. She runs a little bit of interference. Blindingly white. This doesn't work well with the brightly lit background. Although now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if I can fix the fog in the same way. Because previously I had, was it steam pushing out to the sides of my head? Because, yeah, let me just put this back on again. Yeah, you can see there's beams coming out of the side of my eyes. And that extends pretty far off the side of my head. However, you can't really see them because it goes... I don't even know if you could see them even if I were on a dark background. But if I have the steam, which is a transparent object going out of the sides of my head, then that would show up on the steam, but you wouldn't really see the steam itself that well, because it was shaded. Don't know. Pretty simple stuff. Anyways. What other stuff was I gonna do? I can play around with VTS a bit more. I haven't touched standard VTS operating things in ages. There's so many more things I can do with this that I just sort of neglect to use. Like, there was all those filters that I just sort of forgot about. Yeah, the visual effects. Alright. Let me reset the effects. There's plenty of things you can do with this. Oh. Maybe there was a reason that I didn't do this. Most of it's just kind of tacky, isn't it? Alright, just a second. I need to activate VFX first, so that I can actually, you know, see the effects of it and modify it as I'm going. Ooh, I'm a heat haze. Oh god, there's ripples. There's so many things that you can do. I don't know. What's more fun? I don't know what this does. Oh. Ooh. I'm a... Oh, God. I was gonna say I have the dead wife in a memory flashback. Ooh. Motion blur. Oh, that's headache inducing. Okay. No motion blur. Perfect high fidelity. But pixelation. Alright. That's the effect. Blur strength down. I could pixelize myself for certain games. Although there's no... Alright, here we go. Oh, wait. I can... No. Okay. You can get gradient-y. That's... Visual clarity while also being clearly pixelated. Let's turn that off, though. Oh my god, it's so difficult. Backlight and outline. Ooh. There we go. It's even the right color. Oh. Now that's pretty ominous. Background color. Well, I don't have background color. Backlight. Ooh. Oh, interesting. Can I adjust the angle? Oh, no. I can just move myself around. Ah, there's the backlight direction. Ooh. With a softness. And yeah, it gets kind of cell shady if you reduce the softness, but I feel like you want it to be high softness. Color tint, I mean the color tint's perfect already. Outline. Boy, that looks terrible. Why is the outline like that? Alright, turning off the outline. My goodness. Outline stripe? Yeah. I suppose you could make both of the outline stripe colors the same color? Shadow offset. Oh. Now, having a visible shadow is pretty neat, actually. I don't mind that. I could keep the shadow while getting rid of other things. Specifically the backlight. That's model blur. Turn model darken off. Turn backlight off. Turn backlight off. There we go. Now I just have a shadow. That's pretty cool. Maybe I leave the shadow on. It does cause my tail shadow to slightly disappear here. Maybe I should have the shadow to the left of me, actually. There we go. That way my tail shadow disappears before the rest of me does. Or the tail shadow goes out of frame before the rest of my tail does. Alright, let's leave the shadow on. It's kind of fun. Particles. Speed lines? I'm not going anywhere. What does this look like? Oh. Oh, it's just like speed lines on center frame. Okay, you can actually shift where they are. Look at how important I am. Microphone effect. Microphone volume boosts strength. Wait, how do I... Wait a second. Can I... Okay, my microphone settings have to be on. Just a second. Let me turn that on. Where are my microphone settings? Microphone? Mouse input, controller input, sound effects, microphone settings. There we go. Turn it on. Microphone, this one. Okay, so now when I talk, I get visual effects. That's pretty funny. Also a neat little gimmick. Maybe I should turn off the strength of all of this. Boy, I sure hope that that this doesn't create double audio through, what's this called? VTS. It's funny though. Model volume. Okay. What if I turn that? Yeah. Just in case, I'm turning that to 0. But it's still giving me the funny lines. Alright. What else can I mess with? Posterize? What is posterizing? Right. It's just a weird visual effect. Cancel. No posterization for me. Oh, right. I want to edit the speed line a little bit. Let's reduce... Yeah. Less lines. Alright. And what does the microphone effect actually... Ah. What is microphone effect binary? Alright, so if I set it to 0.1 microphone effect, yeah, far fewer lines. And if I set it up higher, more, easier to produce lines. Alright, let's put it at a 0.3. No, 0.3 doesn't look any good. It needs to be high for the visual effect to actually do anything, really. Also just kind of has the visual effect of looking kind of like I'm shouting. There we go. Let's turn it up a bit higher. Okay. Color grading. What can I do with effect on? Hue shift. Oh. That's pretty neat. Oh, in certain colors, it makes my new gray hairs look way more visually apparent. Saturation? Super saturate me, Batman. I never play with these tools anymore. I used to... Ooh. I'm one of the Phantom Thieves. Oh, God. 100% brightness socks. Contrast. Oh. High contrast. Set brightness back to default. White balance. Ooh. I can be halogen. Okay, let me actually just reset it. What is my default inversion? Yeah, it's purple. All right. I think I already knew that. Can I turn down the brightness? Oh, I guess I have to turn up the brightness to turn down the brightness. But also that doesn't work at all. Turn down the contrast? No. It's just a bit bright, isn't it? What if I... Well, now I just look muddy. Alright. Hue shift and then invert color. Ooh. That's weird. Oh, because my shadows are also inverted as well. So I hue shift to almost the exact opposite of my standard colors. But also whites and blacks are reversed by the inverted colors. So like the shadows on my neck are inverted, so it's lighter where it would be darker and darker where it would be lighter. And also because it's a dark purple suit, it becomes a lavender suit. Aren't colors cool? Right. Cancel. Bloom and light effects. Ah, this is what I used to make my eyes colorful. Right, right. I changed my, what is it? My face markings and, my eyes and everything to be unaffected by lighting. Background color darken. My background's my background. It doesn't change. Bloom threshold. Ah, right. Only certain things should be shiny. Light streak threshold. Ah, yes. I reduced that so that my eyes would shine. Light streak intensity. Maybe that should be upped a bit. Right. Cancel that though. I don't want to change the settings of that too much in case it messes with my default thing. All right. I'm gonna reset everything real quick. There we go. No more speed lines. The speed lines are starting to annoy me. I just want to make sure that this is still working properly. Yes, it is. Alright. Good. Alright. Foreground shift. Effect on. I don't think this is going to do anything. Oh, chromatic aberration. I think I like that. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Digital glitch. Oh! Alright. No more of that. I've grown bored of you. Alright. I'm done playing with VTube Studio. Actually, wait, I need you back a little bit. Because I want to talk while having access to a visual aid. Perfect. So. Oh, I forgot to. Let me just real quick unplug my controller. Plug in my drawing tablet. Poor thing hardly gets any use. Ooh. There we go. Wasn't working for a second there. Now then. I wanted to talk about D&D again, which I haven't done in a while. Let's just quarter this, just for the sake of having visual clarity when I zoom in a little bit. Now then. Shouldn't try and write in cursive or even just fancy letters. D&D. I don't need to write that down. World building time. So. I would like to talk about the world that I have been envisioning and thinking about for so long. So, let's start with some basics. The world itself, this is the sun. I want the world itself to be rotationally locked. Whoops. To the sun. So it rotates on its axis, facing towards the sun. Probably not at that extreme of an angle. That's about right. So, that would... Ooh, something fell over. So what that means is that... like, this portion of the southern hemisphere, it's always night. And this portion of the northern hemisphere, it's always day. Which leaves a band in the middle where, you know, day to night passes as normal. Obviously, at certain points in the hemisphere, days are longer or shorter, depending on what meridian you are in. And we also have the equator. And above and around the equator is a big ol' storm band. How to represent or talk about that? I don't know. It's fine. So, around the equator there's a storm band. How do you spell equator? It's E-Q-U-A-T-E-R, right? That doesn't look right. Let me just do... O-R. It's O-R. Storm band at the equator. Impassable. So, all of the civilized races of the world live in the northern hemisphere. All known civilization is in the northern hemisphere. I can just write Civ. Rotationally locked. It's different from tidally locked. Tidally locked means that one side is facing the orbiting body at all times. But if it's rotationally locked, I think this is a real term and I didn't just make it up. But it rotates, so it does get the day-night cycle, but it always points at the same rotational angle towards the object it is rotating around. So, the other important detail. No humans. There's no concept of humans. We have all of the... So we have all the standard D&D races except for humans. And everyone lives in the northern hemisphere. Usually below the 100% daylight zone because anything there would be a super desert, basically. But the other important thing to note is that the northern hemisphere oh, what did those letters become? Is 90, let's say 95% water. It's a real water world situation up there. There's no major land masses north of the equator. The largest landmass you're going to get up there is about the size of Madagascar. Something, not very massive. And most civilization lives on archipelagos, so reasonably well-developed ocean travel, but not too much else. And that means that the northern, the very northernmost tip of the planet, which is constantly exposed to sunlight, is basically like a boiling ocean at all times. So there's a lot of evaporation going on up there, and it probably has lots of crazy storms up in the very north. And that would also help because if it's very stormy and there's a lot of evaporation, you would get a lot of cloud cover, and clouds are pretty good at deflecting the heat and rays of the sun, so it wouldn't destroy the planet most of the time. As far as I know. I'm no scientist. I don't know much about space or nothing. So. The campaign start. So at the start of the campaign, there's a coalition from the north of all of the different races that send... So... The coalition discovers a way to get through the storm wall that separates the northern from the southern hemisphere. Coalition... And it's time limited, probably on like a 10-year cycle or something like that. V, not W. So, the coalition discovers a method of passing the storm wall. And they send a fleet of ships. They all group together and they send a big fleet down south to get past the storm band. Or storm wall, whatever I decide to call it. So... So we're going to say fleet of maybe like 10 ships or so. And as you are traveling southwards in your large fleet, I'm trying to... Again, this is a world building detail or a setting detail that I haven't quite ironed out. I don't know whether it is a simple miscalculation or if it was the result of intentional sabotage, either by someone from the north or forces in the southern hemisphere that caused this. Probably the last option, because it's a bit more interesting. But the barrier closes early, and only 2 or 3 of the planned 10 ships actually make it through and manage to get to the southern continent. So you arrive at the southern continent undersupplied. So you have 3 ships arriving, and the southern continent, or the southern hemisphere, is a continent almost entirely. Obviously not all the way up to the equator, I don't think, but almost. Like, what is it? The equator is 0 degrees, and then it goes up to, I don't know, does it go up to 90 or does it go up to 180? Let me take a look. All right. $90. Yep, it goes up to 90. Right. Latitude goes up to line 90. Longitude is 180. Because it's 90 north and 90 south. And then it's 180 all the way around. So we're going to say at around 10 degrees south is when the vast majority of the continent is starting. It's obviously not going to be like, let's... No. There we go. Good enough. So it's not going to be evenly at the... So this is if, that's where the South Pole would be, basically. And if we're looking at this, this is the southern hemisphere of the planet. Probably have some, like, inlets or... Yeah. Not a perfectly even... like... that, or... branching out a bit more. Inland seas. So it's not just like... And I have, like, a portion of it that is also, like, slightly separated from the rest of it. So you've got, like... And this also is not a final map. I haven't come to very definitive ideas on what the actual shape of it would look like. Because that requires, like, actual hard world building, and I've done most of this in my head. So, the idea... Okay, so... only 3 ships arrive. Then we have... the landing. So we have 3 ships arrive, and you cannot expect any backup from the Northern Coalitions for 10 years. So you're stranded and isolated for 10 years. The missing ships... Missing ships had all the high-level adventures. So, that's the reason that everybody who arrives in this area are the rookies and the level 1s of the world. Because all of the higher leveled adventurers, all of the level 20s and whatnot, who are actually supposed to be leading the charge and, you know, taking the majority of the risk, because you're going into brand new uncharted territory, they got stranded back in the northern hemisphere. And it's only the 3 ships who had the low-level adventurers and probably things like construction workers and like the necessary civilians that you would need in order to have a working community in an uncharted territory. So things like the farmers and the blacksmiths and the craftsmen, all of those, and the low-level adventurers. And obviously, well, not obviously, but you would also have like the people who are training the low-level adventurers. So, you know, it's not like it's all low-level adventurers. There will probably be like a handful of like 3 or 4 high-level adventurers who were like the mentors of, you know, the rookie squads that were dispatched. And I'm thinking, you know, we're gonna have like, you know, because they would have been like galleons that were coming down. So we're gonna have, you know, hundreds of civilian NPCs, and there'll be a wide variety of adventurers that you would be able to pick from to become, or to have characters of. So you're missing all of the high-level adventurers, and also all of the, like, the leaders. Like, the leaders and the statesmen. Yeah. All of the people that would be, like, the overseers, that sort of thing. So it's just going to be like a simple little thing. They were on the tail end of the ship group, or whatever you want to call it. The fleet. That's what you want to call it. Right. So, what I want to have for the very first location, I am a big fan of fjords. I think that's how you spell fjord. I'm such a big fan, I don't know how to spell it. No, it's with a J. It's the J that makes the Y sound. Fjord. So, what is a fjord? Fjords are created... they're like inland channels. They're sort of like rivers, but they aren't. So a fjord is sort of like a carved channel inland from the sea, and it's created by glaciers, mostly. They're usually characterized by pretty steep walls, and they're very narrow, and they're basically just, you know, seawater encroaching, you know, inwards towards the land. So, the idea that I have for the arrival is, you know, the group of ships who are tattered and a bit worn down from the whole kerfuffle with getting through the storm wall. They're flowing down this wide fjord, and then you can get, you know, decently far inland with a fjord. So once you reach the tip of the fjord, normally what... I mean, I say normally. I don't know if this is necessarily true, but I learned about it in history class previously. But when you're on ships that you don't expect to be taking back somewhere, you dismantle those ships and you use them for building materials for like houses and stuff because it's good wood. So you get to the end of the fjord, and obviously it's still a whole bunch of steep cliffs. So you have to sort of leave the ships down at the base. Fjords can open up into, like, lowlands. But not in this one. This one, it's steep cliffs. So you'd have to have a group of people who pinion their way up to the top. And then they would have to set about creating, like, a lift and pulley system to get everyone up to the top of the fjord. Or the fjord wall. I'm sort of mixing my geographical features that I like, but oxbows. So oxbow rivers are also pretty interesting. They form entirely differently than fjords, but it's fine. I can do whatever I want. So deep oxbows in like areas that are made of sediment that erodes, you know, quickly enough. I watched videos about like guys that go hiking out in like really remote areas, and I saw one. There was this guy who found an oxbow that had basically curved back around so far that it re-met with the original point in the river, and it just started going straight through again. And what happened over all that time was the... Right here, I can draw. So river goes like this, and then eventually sediment builds up here, and then the river goes like this, and then more sediment builds up, and the river goes out wider, and then more sediment builds up, and it goes out wider, and then eventually the river goes like that, and then the river there dries up. However, it has carved a deep channel so this is all going in towards the river. And because of that, there is now this sort of oval structure here that had previously been going into a river, but it is cut off from everything else. And it's just like this lone standing pillar of ground. Like that. And that is where I want... It's on like this sort of plateau. And that is where I want to build the base camp. So we'll have this plateau that's sort of separated. We'll have the camp here. And then there will be a bridge onto the mainland. So you have an easily defendable, and obviously this is like bigger than, you know, just a simple little circle. It's large enough to, you know, to host an entire like settlement of, again, hundreds of people, probably around the 250 mark. And then off this, onto the mainland, you can have like, you know, farm patches where, again, because you've got the civilian ships that made it through with the craftsmen, the blacksmiths, and the farmers. So you've got the farmers that will go onto mainland during the day to tend to fields and stuff, and then they'll have to bring it back onto the more easily defendable areas, and we can have, you know, the low-level adventurers, which is most of the people who can, like, do guard duty around the farms during the day and whatnot. And the idea is that we send adventurers out from this town, from this plateau town, to go adventure out into the wider world and figure out what's going on with this weird continent. And obviously, I don't have a proper ingress point, but, you know, I have, like, fjords and stuff coming in. Doesn't really matter which direction they're coming in from. I was gonna say it doesn't matter if, you know, like the north or the south or the east or the west, but every single direction is north from this perspective. Like, you know, that direction is north, but also that direction is north, because this is the South Pole in the center, so directions sort of become a little bit meaningless. So, what else? That's most of it without delving too far into, like, spoilers. But this is the general idea that I've had for the start of the campaign, that I've been talking about for, oh my goodness, many, many years. Actually, I can check. I can see exactly how long it's been. Hey, give me my channel. Open in a new tab. It'll be in videos. 2 years. How long exactly, though? When did I upload this? April 27th, 2024. Yeah, like 2.5 years. That's actually not as long as I thought it was. Did I upload this later or something? I don't remember. I feel like maybe I waited a little bit to upload it. But we'll just go with 2.5 years for my own sake, for my own sanity. Alright. So, town building. This is one of the major components that I wanted to work with, is you have your settlement and you want to improve it. Because this is where your characters would be living for the next, 10 years. We're just going to go with a 10-year cycle. It's a little bit easier. So we've got a 10-year cycle. And you're stuck there for 10 years. And you want to build up the town. So, what aspects of the town can be improved? So we've probably got, what, an apothecary? A blacksmith. What else? Church? The farms, of course. Wow, I've done this in alphabetical order somehow. Well, if I think of a new building, it can't be any further than that. Training grounds? Yeah. So, obviously the apothecary, better potions, more potions. So, It's a West Marches style campaign, obviously. I keep saying obviously. I need to stop. I need to cut that out. So if it's a West Marches style campaign, it's generally a series of connected one-shots. That's how those work. And they're, centered around doing stuff. So with the Apothecary, you can have better and more potions. You do, various quests on the board or whatever. Do requests for villagers. Find objects out in the world. You can come back, give those to the people running the places, so the Apothecary can make better and more potions with, like, various potion ingredients, or if you find, like, rare tinctures or whatever, then try and recreate them, that sort of thing. Better, more potions. Blacksmith. So, normally with blacksmiths, you don't really... You don't want to make them too powerful, usually, because, like, you can probably get up to, like, +2 weapons at, like, a legendary blacksmith, but usually you need magic to get much higher than that. So, it's difficult to think what you would really need to upgrade the blacksmith. The blacksmith can probably be like a gate, not like a wrought iron gate, but the blacksmith can gate other things. So like the blacksmith needs materials to make the farmers their tools or to do other things. So the blacksmith can gate other upgrades, but also, a better blacksmith can definitely make you better tools. Higher AC armor is probably a pretty easy one to go for, but you don't want the numbers to get too big. You maybe just want to go up like +1 armor class or something like that. You could also have it be sort of like the refining rare materials into, like, legendary mythical items. Okay, yeah. Alright. So, the church. Obviously you don't want to do this too early, but you can probably get revives with a church. It's just to perhaps, because it's not going to be too roguelike-y, hopefully. But, just in case. But what else do churches do? Churches provide... Oh, you know what else? Just magic guys. So we've got the church. The church supplies, like, holy scrolls and stuff like that, and anti-undead stuff. Oh. Yeah, blessings. There we go. Blessings. Oh, what was I gonna say? Blessings. Blessings. What else other than blessings do churches do? So I keep noticing that my mic is peaking a lot. I'll just turn that down a little bit. general church stuff. Guidance. Your revelations. Let me turn that into a comma. Guidance and revelations. Bully / anti-undead stuff. Farms. So, rations for longer expeditions. That's an easy one. Also, just sort of necessary for, continued survival. All right. Let's go with Magic Tower. So, this will be scrolls and research. Pluses look too much like T's. That's an at. And scrolls and research, so you can have a certain number of scrolls that you can take on your one-shot adventure, just to have stuff prepared. And research, so you find things out in the world, you bring it back, like enchanted items or stuff like that, and they can figure out what they do or what's going on. I can probably do enchanting as well, but I don't want to put too many eggs into one basket, so maybe we have a separate thing for enchanting the stuff that you have. You know what? Let's do a little bit of spoiler. Local NPC. Someone who was already on the southern continent. They will be the one that's in charge of doing enchantments and stuff, because they're familiar with the weird magics down here that are less familiar to the northerners. And the unfamiliar materials and all that good stuff. And lastly, this is something that I had been thinking of for a while. The R&D team. They are responsible for transportation. So, the reason that I had it so that the northern hemisphere is 95% water is because nobody in the northern hemisphere is part of a society that would have built robust, land-based transportation. Since everyone is on, relatively small islands, most transportation would have been sea-based. And now that everyone is on such a massive landmass for the first time ever, nobody from any of the northern cultures knows anything about on-land transportation. So you need an entire, research and development department to basically invent the wheel. Obviously, the cultures probably have already invented the wheel. But, using it for transportation is something new, something different that's never been done before. So we'll probably get, carriages and stuff. I don't like teleportation magic. I don't care for it much at all. It would have to be highly, highly limited. Oh, hello, G-Sock. I've seen a bridge in their lives. So yeah, you've come in around the end of, not around the end. I'm not ending soon. But I had been talking about the world building for the D&D campaign that I've had brewing in my head. So let's go back to the start so that I can explain things now that I can actually explain properly. So, first things first, the world. We have a rotationally locked planet, so that the planet is constantly pointing at a slight degree towards the sun. In media res, yeah. So we're pointing slightly towards the sun, which means that the very tip of the planet has 24-hour sunlight, and the very bottom of the planet has 24-hour constant night. All known civilization is in the northern hemisphere, so all player characters are from the northern hemisphere. Around the equator, there is a massive storm band, or storm wall, I've called it both things, that's completely impassable. There are no humans in this world. I think human characters are boring, but we have all the other standard D&D races. So, and the other thing about the Northern Hemisphere is that it's 95% water. Every civilization in the Northern Hemisphere is archipelagos and whatnot, and I said that the largest landmass on the Northern Hemisphere is probably around the size of Madagascar, so nothing huge. Which is why there is no known land-based transportation in the northern hemisphere, or no large-scale land-based transportation in the northern hemisphere, because there's no real need, because most transportation can be done with ships and boating and water-based transportation. And most cultures prefer water-based travel whenever they can do it, because it's a lot easier, it's a lot faster most of the time than anything else you can do over land. So, even if you are on a relatively large island, or even a bunch of small islands chained together, you would just have a bunch of ships transporting everything you need, around coastlines and stuff like that, because it's just easier than travel, or it's faster than bringing it overland. It's not necessarily easier. Never really is. So that's the basic setup. When the campaign starts, Coalition of Nations discovers a method of passing the storm wall. Fleet going south, about 10 ships. Due to a mishap, only 3 ships arrive. As I said, probably due to interference from forces on the southern continent. And the 3 ships that arrive, this is just a sort of rough map. This is not indicative of anything. So we've got the exact South Pole down at the center of the map, and it's a massive landmass that covers almost the entire southern hemisphere. I said there's probably a couple of detached continents, and it's not necessarily equidistant around. There can be ingresses into it. There can be inland seas. It's not necessarily one big disk of continent that's down at the southern hemisphere. So, the reason that we have a portion of the ships be missing is so that it's not all high-level adventurers in the campaign. So the missing ships had all of the, strongest fighters, the like main army military force that came down with everyone. And the people that arrived were the rookies and the civilians. Because you need to be able to create a civilization that can last for at least 10 years without any resupply or backup from any of the northern groups that are above the equator. So everyone had to... So you had to bring down civilians with, like, farmers and blacksmiths and all that sort of stuff. And my idea for where... I say my idea. I'm the DM in this situation. My destination for where everyone lands is in a fjord-riddled part of the southern continent. So fjords, if you weren't aware, are big ravines that are cut into the sides of continents by glaciers. So they aren't really rivers because it's just sort of the ocean intruding inland. I think one of the defining features of a fjord is that it's not made of flowing water. It is standing ocean water that goes inland. And I also combined it with sort of like an oxbow idea. Despite the fact that oxbows and fjords are completely different, I can build how I want. But this can happen with fjords as well, where they like crack and separate from surrounding areas. But the general idea... Oh, right, my music stopped. There we go. New playlist. Or not new playlist, new extended video. So the idea is that there is a large separated sort of plateau landmass that is, cracked off from the surrounding fjords. But it's, it's surrounded by a sharp ravine, and you can bridge onto the mainland from it's mainly just because it's easily defendable. You have an easily defendable town on a plateau that's surrounded by sharp drops next to the fjord. And then on the mainland, you'd have the farm plots, because you can't really build farming on a very enclosed, limited space land. So you'd have the farmers that would be able to go out into the mainland and set up farmsteads and stuff, and then it would return to the civilization area on the plateau. And then you'd have adventurers that would go out and do quests and all that, but that's getting into the future. And one of the big things that you would be doing is quests to improve the town. So you'd have various different things that you could upgrade by doing quests. So the apothecary sets a quest to find a specific type of herb or the herb equivalent on this new continent so that they could make better healing potions. So from that point onwards, any quests that a group of adventurers take from the town, you would have better potions. So you're doing missions to improve the hometown, and it's all working towards improving it so that you can take better and better missions in the future and discover the mysteries of the southern continent. Anyway, that's the condensed version of what I spent the past little while talking about. And that was about where I was just gonna leave off with explaining my stuff. I think I might have done this a while ago as well. Let me just... in miscellaneous. Oh, no, that was something else. Interested and intrigued, yeah. Well, and hopefully I can be motivated enough to, like, fully flesh this out and actually, like, get started building a proper campaign with, you know, all that. Curious about the Southerners. Yes! Yes, I did, as I was saying, when I was going into town building, I did specify that you probably pretty early on find a local NPC who is able to teach about various concepts in the Southern. And I have also world builded a couple of new, like, completely exclusive Southern continent races that, like, are not D&D standard races. So I have also worked on that. I'm not going to explain them here. Ooh, spoilers for something that may or may not exist in the future. But as... I don't know what I was going to say. As something. Yeah. And I've also got... Oh, right. Another big thing I wanted to mention is, because this is going to be the big hook, is that, you know, I'm going to leave this planet as generally Earth-like as possible. So there will be, like, a moon on the planet. But when everyone arrives on the southern continent, they see what appears to be a second moon that nobody has ever seen before, because it is hovering suspended directly above the exact south pole of the continent. It does not move. It is a large body. You can't, you know, there'll probably be, like, astronomers or something on the ship with you that can, like, determine the size of it. It's obviously much smaller than an actual moon, but it's still a very massive body that is suspended directly above the South Pole, and that's the big hook to get everyone to, you know, start venturing further south and exploring. And obviously, you know, I drew this. This is supposed to be like the area where you land or something. So this is where we start, and obviously you can't just go straight south. I'll have, like, you know, dangerous mountain ranges or stuff, and, like, you know, maybe, you know, dangerous things that'll cause you to, like, circumnavigate a little bit and, you know, spiral inwards, and, you know, you can have, like, separate groups that detach and go around, so that you can't just, like, travel in a straight line towards the South Pole to see what's going on there. But yeah. I also want to, oh yeah, the other thing I think I was talking about when you showed up is I don't like magical teleportation. I want to put some strict limits on teleportation. Although, I think it would be pretty important to, like, actually have teleportation, because theoretically, this is a continent-spanning adventure that is the size of an entire hemisphere. So you're gonna really want to have teleportation so that you don't have to go back and forth from the exact hometown every single time you want to explore somewhere far away. So, I'm thinking of having areas that are like... Oh yeah, that's another thing that I never explored. Or not explored, but explained. So, how I... let me go back north real quick. So, rotationally locked planet. That means that on a rotationally locked planet, there would be no seasons. No such thing as a season. Because you get the exact same amount of sunlight you do every single day, depending on where you are on the hemisphere. So you can't have shorter days in winter and longer days in summer. It just doesn't happen because days are the same length, the same time where you are in your location all the time. So, in order to combat that and actually have seasons on this planet that I have designed, the Earth has mana veins, is what I call them. So you have like these giant structures that are basically these stone veins that run underneath the surface of the Earth, and they have, you know, this flowing magical energy through them. And the energy that's flowing through them can have various different properties. It can ebb and flow at certain times of year, and that will affect the surface of the planet. So, in certain areas, you can have cold mana flowing underneath the surface of the Earth, and that will cause the surface above it to be chilled, and then after a certain amount of time has passed, as the flowing mana ebbs, and eventually it gets replaced with like a different type of mana, and it can happen in cycles. It can heat up. Yeah, sort of like ley lines, but I call them mana veins because I'm weird and different. I don't want to follow your rules, man. So, you know, so there's just these lines that run underneath the Earth. I'm not thinking like straight lines either. I want them to curve. I want them to be sort of natural feeling. So, my idea, obviously, because I was explaining that, is you can probably only set up teleportation at like very specific points where like a mana vein reaches close to the surface, or at an intersection point where you have extremely dense magical energy. So you can't just like set up teleportation anywhere. You have to like hit certain checkpoints in the world. So, you know, like there's one by the sea, and you can immediately teleport between those two locations. Probably with some medium level of cost. Probably not too difficult to do. Actually, maybe really easy. Maybe we keep it simple and make it really easy so that you can always return back to the home base, that you can continue building up the home base so that it's better and better and better and better. Yeah, let me go over here to... So you can have, like... We'll just say we got lucky. The initial expedition group got lucky, and when they got there, they arrived on an area that is directly over a confluence point, so you can set up a teleportation sigil just at the hometown. And then you can teleport out from there and explore, and you can also just explore off of the main area. Yeah, I think that's most of the general ideas that I had. Oh, I also wanted to include the, what was that race? Or not race, but the like animal people. I forget what they're called. It's the something woods. It's part of the D&D races. Humblewood, that's what they're called. The Humblewood races. My goodness. And Humblewood's usually its own setting in D&D that doesn't really cross over with the other main races, but I think it's fun to have, like, little talking badger people and whatnot. So, we've got all the standard races and also the Humblewood ones. Those are funny. I like the little frog people and whatnot. Yeah. And there'll be settings and stuff and all that. Like, specific... I already have specific characters in mind for, like, you know, different jobs and stuff. So, like, the apothecary, the blacksmith, all that sort of stuff. But I don't want to get too into that. Yeah. This was one of the things that I wanted to do today. I didn't actually have too many other ideas. I had this. I was messing around with my model during the beginning of stream. That was fun. I don't even remember what settings I found that were interesting. What are some of the far effects? Oh, right, my shadow. Backlight and outline. So you can do this. I turned the darkness and the outline off. There we go. And you can just have... No, not outline. There we go, shadow. So you can cast a shadow. I think that looks really cool. Just being able to cast a shadow on the background. Neat. I feel like that's something that I could just leave on. I reset everything because I was working on stuff. I think the shadow is really cool. That was the one cool thing I found while looking through the VTube Studio, like, filters and stuff. Yeah. Oh, also, because I'm 30 now, I gave myself some gray hair. It's kind of difficult to spot when I'm all the way zoomed out. All the like free strands that I had, I colored them gray. Anything else? I didn't do anything else. Is there anything else I want to do, though? Alright, so what are the things that I've been thinking about doing for ages? That I've just been, like, putting off. Yeah, I thought it looked kinda neat. It's kinda difficult to do because... with, what's it? With the tools that you have to change the colors in VTube Studio, it's got multiply and it's got mask. And you can't really multiply layer something into being a lighter color. So since I have dark hair, I couldn't put a multiply layer on it that made it gray. I had to put a masking layer on it that made it gray, and that kind of color covers the texture underneath. So it the hair strands themselves look kind of flat. They don't have the depth. But at a distance, it's harder to notice, and also you can make it like sort of visible underneath, but it's just kind of a pain to do. Unfortunately. Ah! I was pushing my keyboard and I hit some buttons accidentally and did some stuff. Anyways. Right. Right. As I was saving this picture, I was reminded of the other thing that was saved in that area, which was I've been thinking for years that I've wanted to I don't even know if I want to bring it up again because I'm not gonna do it. I'm just too lazy to do it. I wanted to do a cover of It's Not Easy Being Green. I've wanted to do that since like year 1. Because I think it would be really funny. But like, I'd have to commission someone to do the instrumental, which is the biggest hassle. I mean, also I don't have any, like, I'd be singing as myself. I have no singing training at all. So, I would just have to rely on my pure natural singing skill. No, I'm not gonna take singing lessons, no. I would just have to rely on my own natural talent. Yeah, I just think it would be really funny. It's a funny song for me to sing. But the other question is, do you sing that song with your own voice, or do you do a Kermit the Frog impression? Because it's I mean, it's not. I don't think it's. Is it original to the Muppets? I feel like it existed before the Muppets, that song. But it's Kermit's song. That's how everyone knows it. Yeah. That's the other long-term thing that I have been thinking about for ages and ages and ages. Maybe I can force myself into doing it. It's just such a hassle, huh? Who knew doing difficult things was difficult? You have to put in effort if you want something done? Disgusting. Might as well be the end of the world. Yeah. I'm just thinking about it. What would be easier to do? Talk to a musician and commission an instrumental version of It's Not Easy Being Green? Or build an entire campaign setting in D&D? Boy. Socialization is difficult. But... you never know. Yeah. I didn't have too many other plans, really. My big one was finally going over the world building that I had gone over in my head in order to like actually get it out on paper, because this is the first time I'm actually writing any of this world building down. Increase the size of my pen just so that I can gesticulate a little bit better. This is the first time I've actually gotten any of the ideas that I've had written down. This has been entirely world building in my head so far, and this is writing it down for the first time. I'd also like to go and look at what other people have done for Westmarch's campaigns with town building and whatnot. Just so that I can have an idea of what would be interesting to include in that aspect. Well, have I been drawing everything in light purple? I think I have. Yeah. Everything on here is written in light purple. That's pretty funny. That's gotta make it hell to read. Let me... Layer color black. There we go, that's a little bit better. Yeah. I can save that as is. Again. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else that I really want to put out into the world immediately. I don't know. Maybe about how I want to do hexagons for the map. Or wait, no. Hex. Hex is 6. That's a pentagon. So yeah, build a hexagon map. So you can have, like, we've got on this one, this is where the main town is, and also there's other stuff on here, and it takes a day to go from one hexagon to the next, and like you can build out the world map from there. I have it just be, you know, and have like, what I can do when world building is have like a certain amount of things in each hexagon. Hello, Jazz. By the way, I don't know if you're around, G-Song, when I mentioned this last time, but that is my IRL real sister. So, in case you were wondering why I know them so well, so I'm just gonna keep drawing some interlocking hexagons. So, what I was saying is I can have, like, you know, probably like 5 or 6 different points of interest on each of the hexagons. And, like, you can discover, you know, the various different things. And, you know, if I'm really, like, getting stuck, I can probably put new things on hexagons and, like, have different various terrains and whatnot. So, like, you know, this is a plains hexagon. This is a mountain. And each one's can have various different, you know, requirements to get past them, or to navigate them, or to find things on them. That sort of thing. They can have different resources that you can bring back to the main settlement. There's so many things you can do with an overarching map like that. But I think one of the big problems I've always had when running D&D campaigns is getting a sense of scale right. I've only run a handful of other D&D campaigns, but I tend to be pretty bad at imposing a sense of scale. I tend to make things feel a bit too small, as I always like to have, like, grand adventures with long amounts of travel time. It's very difficult to make traveling interesting in D&D, is another thing that I've discovered. It's very difficult, because a lot of the time, players just want to be like, well, why can't we just be at the destination? And that's a very difficult question to answer. And that also feeds into my, I don't like, you know, teleportation magic in fantasy settings all that much. because it cuts out the travel. And I think travel can be interesting. I just don't know how to do it right. So that's probably something that I should research a bit instead of just hoping I can improvise my way through it. I've seen a couple of different systems that can make travel easy. Specifically, I tend to get a lot of my ideas from Zbashu, who is a guy who does a lot of D&D info stuff, usually in the form of animations. But he has a couple of travel, like, episodes about how to make travel interesting. There's one that I specifically remember a lot, which is how to make chases interesting. So if you're being chased by, like, a group over a long distance sort of thing, where you're trying to reach a destination before someone else or before they catch up to you. I really liked that video. It had a lot of interesting ideas. But it's also something that requires a lot of setup that you can't just do off the fly, so maybe just having a couple of scenarios like that I have preset so that I can pull them out on the fly. Yeah, I don't know. That's most of my ideas for TTRPG stuff, for D&D stuff. I'm gonna close that. Don't work more on it. Let it sit and percolate a little bit. Let me also, you know, doesn't make too much sense to be super full-sized here. It's a kotatsu, after all. It would be like 60 feet tall if I zoomed all the way in. I should probably get a new room set up. Or something that's slightly less Japanese. I'm doing a bit of cultural appropriation. But it's fine because it looks really cool. What do I even have for other backgrounds? I've got a handful of stuff. None of them are, like, very room-like, though. There's a lot of the backgrounds that I have were for, like, various different, settings for, like, games and stuff. But I don't do... I only play my games full screen now, so there's no real need for me to have all of my backgrounds. Here we go. Yeah, I've got like a bunch of them that are just like patterns. And a lot of them are outdoors. You know, like I've got... Here. You know what I could do? I could just do the really standard VTuber thing. Show background properties. Here, I've got one of these saved. I don't have a chat box, so that would just be empty. Ah, not that one. No, not that one. This one? There we go. Yeah, that's proper generic VTuber. That's probably something else that I should set up as a YouTube chat sort of widget that I can stick on the screen. But I don't want to. I don't know how, mainly right now. What other ones do I have? I get a lot of my backgrounds off of a Japanese website, so a lot of it's like, very Japanese aesthetic no matter what. Got the beach. You can go to the beach. I'm not really dressed for it, but I've got it. Oh, I got this one. There's a chalkboard. I'm gonna do that for teaching stuff. I don't do much teaching, though. I don't do any teaching, really. Yeah. Anyways, let's just go back to this room. I can be a little bit Japanese. Let's reactivate that. I'm safely behind the kotatsu. Anyways, I've just been sort of blathering on. I don't have any more plans. I just wanted to get my D&D world building out. And now I'm just sort of waffling. I don't really want to play any games. It feels a bit gauche. I don't know. What else do I really do? I don't do chatting streams. Oh, I can just chat about things. I was planning on buying a bike. I haven't gone biking in a while. I live near a good trail that's good for biking. I've wanted to bike so I can, you know, properly exercise more. But I haven't done that yet because it's been weekdays since my birthday, which was yesterday. So, you know, I just haven't gotten around to it. Anything else? How do VTubers do chatting streams? Like it's not a paved trail, so it'd be an off-road bike. Yeah. It's not, I mean, it's not like forest floor. It's a maintained trail, but it's definitely not paved. What was I gonna say? I actually had something I was gonna say and now it's gone. I don't know. Yeah. Only kind, yeah. Yeah, I never had a road bike either. I haven't ridden a bike in, I don't know, years. Thin Tire scary? Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit spooky. I honestly don't think having thick tires that much of a hindrance on roads. Obviously, you can't hit the, like, maximum speeds of a road bike, because those things can really zip. But I don't really care to go that fast. I think I'm fine with my top speed being middle of the road. That's enough to satisfy me. Oh, also, I think my stream's on default latency, so you're probably noticing that I'm responding to you a while after you type things. That's just how it is. Yeah. Yeah, I would prefer just to have a standard mechanical bike. I don't... Because I want the bike for exercise rather than travel or convenience. So I would prefer to not have assistance when riding. I want the full resistance. That's the word I was going for. The full resistance while riding. Yeah. I don't know. Because there are a handful of bikes here at my abode, at my father's, but they're all bad and old and busted. We tried repairing one of them last year because I wanted to bike then. And none of them want to be fixed. As we tried, because one of them's got, like, you know, pop tires, and, like, we bought new tires for that bike, and it immediately just did not work. And the other one has, like, the most uncomfortable seat I have ever sat on. I rode that bike for, like, 5 minutes, and I was in pain for the next, like, 3 days. It was the most uncomfortable seat I've ever sat on. And I think there was something else wrong with it, too. Like with the chain or something. So, there's a handful of bikes here that are all kind of busted. So I figured I would finally just bite the bullet and buy a new one. Even though bikes are expensive. Everything's expensive. I'll just not buy gotcha rolls for a while. I don't anyways. I generally only do like anniversary if I'm buying stuff for gotcha. I have stopped spending money on gotcha ages ago. I just say that because it's like the one thing I do actually spend money frivolously for. And that and subscriptions. Specifically just YouTube. That's the only big expensive subscription I have. Because they've upped the price so much. YouTube Premium used to be like $6. I think it's over $20 now. Back when it first started. YouTube Premium's so expensive. But advertisements just make me, like, actually angry when I see them. So it is literally mandatory for me. It's so unfortunate. But yeah. It's just that. Just that. Any other plans? One of the things that I was thinking about was I could... Yeah, it's so expensive. Like, okay, I can... I want to check, actually. How much is YouTube Premium? I don't pay it... Like, they send me emails every now and then, and they're like, the cost of YouTube Premium has increased by another $1 this year. It's like, oh, okay. And I just don't look at how much it costs because I am going to continue to pay it anyways because I have to. Or else I get angry at YouTube, which is like, you know, what I spend all of my time on. All right. Membership. Okay, it's $20.99 a month right now. It's actually a little bit cheaper than I thought. I thought it was gonna be in the high 20s. Yeah. To me, YouTube is a paid service. I cannot not spend money on it. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be in the range of like $28 or something like that. But it's only $20. Isn't that nice? Oh yeah, and YouTube comes with YouTube Music, so I don't need a Spotify subscription. I'm all I was I was literally just about to start watching a YouTube video now that I am on YouTube. I just went to my suggested videos and I'm like, all right, what can I watch now? What's on the docket? No. No, not right now. Later. I'll do that later. Ah. Yeah, subscription services. I feel like I should probably get one of those services that YouTubers are always advertising that are like, cut out unwanted subscriptions, manage your money better. I feel like I should probably get that because my money is draining out of my bank account somewhere. I don't know how I lose so much money every month. It's absurd. I don't know where it's going. I need to pay attention to my finances better. Yeah, my money is draining out somewhere, somehow. Like I look at my invoices every now and then and I go to expensive months and I'm like, oh, right, I spent a lot of money on food that month, didn't I? So I what kind of videos do I watch? Oh my god. I mean, would you believe it? Mostly VTubers. Almost exclusively. There's plenty of other stuff. Oh, I've been watching so much Magic the Gathering content recently. A surprising amount of Pokemon videos. There's this sort of loose group of YouTubers who do like Pokemon battles with each other. There's been a little bit of drama in their community as well. They lost like a couple of members due to various interpersonal relations between them, and they're no longer friends for specific reasons. But they do a lot of stuff where they like make custom Pokemon and do battles with them, and I like it a lot. It's what got me into playing what's it called? There's a Pokemon like website or whatever that lets you do like simulated battles. It's like the most popular way to do Pokemon Showdown. That's what it's called. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Showdown. It just I think this is the most popular format where it just gives you a team of random Pokemon and you go up against another player who's using a team of random Pokemon and you just try and win with your random team. I think they balance it. So it's like you're not getting like your team of the weakest Pokemon versus your opponent's team of the strongest. I think they're generally like evenly matched most of the time. But I've been doing a lot of that, which has made me realize that I do actually like Pokemon battles, as long as they aren't like the NPC battles in standard Pokemon games, because everyone in standard Pokemon games only uses one type of Pokemon, which is the most boring way to like have an opponent, because everyone is weak to the exact same thing every single time. There's no strategy in switching out different Pokemon. But like if you're playing competitively, it's really interesting. Also, I've got a pretty decent win ratio, because you in Pokemon Showdown you start with I think 1,000 rank points, and I'm up to 1,400. You got like 20 points a win and you lose, I don't know, however many a loss. So I've been doing well in that. I do wonder what is the like, high rank? What is the medium rank in that game? Because I don't know specifically, like, where in the Pokemon Showdown I rank, but I'm probably not that high. I only started a couple weeks ago at this point, so I don't know, maybe I'm a savant. Maybe I'm a natural at Pokemon battling. I feel like that might not be the case. I don't know what my win-loss record is. I wonder if it'll show me. I'm just gonna open Pokemon Showdown real quick. All right. Ladder. There we go. Random battle. Okay, so the top of the leaderboard is 2,500. I just scroll down. All right. And 500 is around 2,100. So, you know. I'm definitely not high ranked in any case, but I'm not doing poorly. Here, let me just search my own name. What ranking am I? Huh. Scarlet and Violet singles, random battle. Why am I not on the ranked boards? How the ladder works. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I've only been playing in casual. I wonder, can I see what my ranking is? Doesn't look like it. Oh, my music stopped as well. Oh, right, my music stopped because I used YouTube to check how much YouTube Premium costs. Wait, was that why? Did I open a new tab? No? No, I didn't. Let me do Elden Ring. Elden Ring music. There we go. Oh, by the way, Teddy is here, so I am petting him, which is why I am only operating my computer with one hand now. Because of this darn cat. Okay, user lookup. Gen 9 random battler. My elo is 1,416. My GXE. What is GXE? User's percentage of winning a random battle. It's a bit lower than I thought it was. It's only 54% win rate. My Glyco 1. My rating with standard deviation. Slightly higher. It's at 1536. And I have a win-loss ratio of 77 wins to 66 losses. Those are pretty funny numbers. What a point in time to look at that. 77 to 66. So that's how many times I've played Pokemon Showdown. Anyways, how long have I been streaming for? Have I hit 2 hours? That was sort of where I wanted to get to. Yes, I've gone 2:13. Alright. I don't do chatting streams very often, so I don't know how to do them. I only ever play video games, really. But I think I'm satisfied with that. I did my chatting, I did my D&D stuff, I talked about bikes, and that'll do it. I'm satisfied. So I think I will bid farewell. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I will be leaving now. Thanks for dropping in to hang out for a little while. But this is the end of stream. Goodbye. Goodbye.